My name is Claire Rousseau. I'm 31 years old. Last Thursday, after a 4-hour shift in the emergency department at Toronto General Hospital, I collapsed in the parking garage, face down on concrete. I woke up in the back of an ambulance, blood running down my forehead, my left arm numb, a paramedic shouting my name. He called my mother. I heard her voice through the speaker, clear, annoyed. Is she conscious? Yes, ma'am. But she has a serious head injury. And then she's fine. Megan needs us right now. Claire always makes everything about herself. Tell her to take an Advil and go home. My sister Megan was at a Service Ontario office 20 minutes away, crying because her license plate sticker renewal was $340, and she didn't have the money. 4 hours later, when my father finally walked into my hospital room and saw who was sitting beside my bed, holding my hand, reading my chart, his face turned white. He grabbed the doorframe. Claire, why is she here? And from that moment, everything changed. But let me take you back to where it started. Wednesday, March 5th, 7 a.m. I clocked in at Toronto General for what was supposed to be a routine ER rotation. There's no such thing as routine in emergency medicine. By 7:40, I was running a trauma code. A 4-5-year-old construction worker had fallen 3 stories at a site on King Street. Shattered pelvis, internal bleeding, going into shock. I stabilized him in 22 minutes. He was in surgery by 8:15. He lived. That's all that matters in my line of work. I checked my phone during a brief lull at 10:30 a.m. Text from my mother, sent at 9:47. Claire, can you e-transfer $600 tonight? Megan's car insurance with Aviva is due Friday, and you know she can't afford it right now. Also, your father needs new snow tires before the weather turns. I felt it then. A sharp hot pain behind my right eye. Brief. I blinked it away. By 2 p.m. I'd seen 19 patients. A teenager with a fractured wrist from a hockey game. A woman having a panic attack. An elderly man whose pacemaker was misfiring. At 3:15, they brought in a little boy. 7 years old. Allergic reaction to peanuts. His EpiPen had expired. His mother was screaming in the hallway. I got the epinephrine into him in under a minute. His breathing stabilized. His mother grabbed my hands and sobbed. Thank you, God bless you. I squeezed back. That's what I'm here for. I didn't tell her that in less than 5 hours, I'd be the one on a stretcher. And the people who should have come running wouldn't even pick up the phone. At 6 p.m., I finally sat down in the staff lounge. The headache was a 7 out of 10 now. Pulsing, deep, behind my right eye. I'd had these headaches for 3 weeks, but hadn't told anyone. I'm an ER doctor. I know what a persistent unilateral headache can mean. I just didn't want to think about it. I took 2 extra-strength Tylenol, drank a coffee, and told myself I'd book an MRI next week. At 8:45 p.m., I signed out my last patient, a 60-year-old woman with chest pain. Stable. Admitted for observation. I grabbed my coat, walked to the parking garage. Level 2. My car was in the far corner. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. I remember reaching for my keys. I remember the world tilting sideways. And then nothing. Dr. Priya Anand found me. She was leaving her own shift, saw me on the ground, face down, blood pooling from a gash on my forehead where I'd hit the concrete pillar. She called a code. They had me on a stretcher in 4 minutes. In the ER, my own ER, on my own stretcher, in Bay 7, where I'd treated hundreds of patients, they ran a CT scan. The results came back at 9:18 p.m. Dr. Keith Lawson, the attending neurologist, pulled up the images. Claire, he said quietly, you've got a ruptured cerebral aneurysm. There's bleeding in your subarachnoid space. You need emergency surgery. Tonight. I knew what that meant. I'd seen it before. Without surgery, I had hours. Maybe less. Keith, I whispered. My head was splitting. I could barely keep my eyes open. Call my daughter's daycare. Sophie's there until 9:30. Then call my mom. She's my emergency contact. Here's the thing everyone asks later. And I understand why. Why was my mother my emergency contact and not someone else? Simple. I'm a single mother. Divorced 2 years ago. My ex-husband, Mark, moved to Vancouver after the split. We have shared custody, but Sophie lives with me full-time during the school year. Mark was in BC. My best friend, Jasmine, was in Montreal for her brother's wedding. My mother was 23 minutes away in Scarborough. She was the only local family I had. The charge nurse, a woman named Dana Kowalski, called my mother at 9:22 p.m. I could hear the call from my bed. Mrs. Rousseau, this is Dana Kowalski, charge nurse at Toronto General Hospital. Your daughter Claire collapsed in the hospital. She has a brain aneurysm and needs emergency surgery tonight. We need you here. Pause. Is she conscious? She's conscious but deteriorating. We need next of kin consent because the procedure carries significant risk. And is she going to die right this second? Mrs. Rousseau, this is extremely time-sensitive. Then it can wait. I'm with Megan right now. She's having a very stressful evening. Claire is a doctor. She knows how to handle medical things. We'll come in the morning. Dana stared at the phone. Ma'am, I need to be clear. Your daughter has bleeding in her brain. In the morning may be too late. My mother's voice was ice. Claire has been dramatic her entire life. She once called us crying because she got a B+ on an exam. I'm sure she'll be fine. Tell her to rest. Click. Dana looked at me. I'd heard every word. She didn't even hesitate, did she? I said. Dana's eyes were wet. No, she didn't. Should I try your father? You can try. He won't answer if my mother told him not to. She tried. Voicemail. She tried again at 9:35. Voicemail. Dr. Anand tried at 9:42. My father picked up. Hello? Mr. Rousseau, this is Dr. Priya Anand at Toronto General. Claire has a ruptured brain aneurysm. She needs surgery immediately. We need family here. My father's voice was low, almost whispering, like he didn't want my mother to hear. Is it really that serious? She could die, Mr. Rousseau. Long pause. We're helping Megan with something right now. Can you just do what you need to do? We'll be there as soon as we can. He hung up. Priya documented the call. Time, 9:42 p.m. Duration, 1 minute 38 seconds. I lay there, staring at the ceiling. The pain was getting worse. Waves of nausea. My vision was narrowing. Keith came back. Claire, we can't wait. I'm invoking emergency consent protocol. 2 attending physicians will co-sign. We're taking you to the OR now. Okay. I grabbed his sleeve. My daughter, Sophie, she's 4. She's at Little Stars Daycare on Bloor. They close at 9:30. If no one picks her up, they'll call Children's Aid. Keith's face went still. I'll handle it. He called Dana. Dana called Jasmine in Montreal. Jasmine called her sister, who lived in the annex, 15 minutes from the daycare. Sophie was picked up at 9:28 p.m., 2 minutes before they would have called Cass. My 4-year-old daughter almost ended up in the child welfare system because my parents couldn't leave a Service Ontario office. They wheeled me into the OR at 9:51 p.m. The anesthesiologist put the mask on. I counted backwards. 10, 9, 8. The last thing I thought was, she's not coming. I woke up at 2:14 a.m. in the neurosurgical ICU. The surgery had taken 3 hours and 42 minutes. Dr. Lawson had clipped the aneurysm, drained the blood, relieved the pressure. I'd received a transfusion. I'd live. Priya was sitting beside my bed. She hadn't gone home. She was still in her scrubs, reading a magazine, eating a granola bar. Hey, she said, welcome back. How long? Almost 4 hours. Surgery went well. Keith says you're going to be fine. She paused. Your parents aren't here, Claire. I know, they called once. At midnight. Your father asked if the surgery was over. When I said yes, he said they'd come in the morning. Priya's voice was careful, clinical, but I could hear the anger underneath. I didn't cry. I was too tired, too medicated, too unsurprised. Where's Sophie? Safe. Jasmine's sister has her. She's sleeping. I closed my eyes. Okay. Priya, yeah? How long have we been friends? Since residency. 11 years. I need you to do something for me. Anything. Stay. Just stay. I'm not going anywhere. She held my hand. I fell asleep. My parents arrived at 10:47 a.m. the next morning, 13 hours and 25 minutes after the first call. My mother walked in carrying a Tim Hortons coffee and a box of Timbits, She was wearing her church coat. My father shuffled behind her, hands in his pockets. Megan wasn't with them. She was at home, apparently still upset about the $340. My mother set the Timbits on the bedside table. "Claire, sweetheart, you gave us such a fright. You look terrible. Have you eaten?" She turned to Priya, who was still there, still in scrubs, still beside my bed. "Who are you?" "I'm Dr. Priya Anand, Claire's colleague and her friend. I've been here since 9 p.m. last night." My mother blinked. "Oh, well, that's nice of you. We would have come sooner, but Megan was having a very difficult night." I said nothing. My father stood by the window, looking out at the skyline. He wouldn't meet my eyes. My mother sat down, opened her purse, started rummaging. "Claire, while you're resting, I need to talk to you about something. Megan's car failed its safety inspection. The mechanic says it needs new brakes and a catalytic converter. Does. 8 cents total." I know the timing isn't great, but I turned my head. Slowly. "It hurt, Mom. I just had brain surgery." "Yes, and thank God you're fine. But Megan needs her car for job interviews. She has one next week at a call center in Markham, and Mom." "Stop," my mother frowned. "Claire, don't be selfish. You're lying in a hospital bed doing nothing. The least you can do is help your sister." Priya stood up. Her chair scraped the floor. "Mrs. Rousseau, your daughter had a ruptured brain aneurysm. She was in surgery for nearly 4 hours. She almost died. And you're asking her for money?" My mother looked at Priya the way she looked at telemarketers. "Excuse me? This is a family matter." Priya didn't flinch. Family doesn't let their daughter almost become a ward of Children's Aid, because they're too busy at Service Ontario. The room went silent. My father turned from the window. "What is she talking about?" I spoke then, quietly. My voice was raw from the intubation tube. "Sophie almost got taken by Cass last night. Because you didn't come. Because nobody picked her up from daycare. If Jasmine's sister hadn't driven across the city, my daughter would have spent the night in foster care. Because you were helping Megan pay $340 for a sticker." My father's face crumbled. "Claire, we didn't know. You didn't ask. I called Priya. Get me Dr. Lawson's number. And get me a notebook. I need to write some things down while I still have the courage." She handed me her phone. I started typing. Everything. 7 years of everything. Let me take you back. September 2018. I was 24. I'd just been accepted into the emergency medicine residency program at U of T. Starting salary during residency, $62,000 before taxes. I thought I'd made it. My parents invited me to dinner. Their house in Scarborough. My mother made tourtière. My father opened a bottle of wine. Megan wasn't there. She was at a friend's cottage in Muskoka. That should have been my first warning. Over dessert, my father slid a folder across the table. "Claire, we need your help." Inside, a home equity line of credit application, HELOC, $120,000 against their house, which they'd owned for 26 years. "What's this? We're behind on some things. Your mother's hip replacement last year wasn't fully covered by OHIP, the physio, the private room, the medications. We've got credit card debt. We need to consolidate." I looked at the papers. The interest rate was prime plus 3.5%. "Dad, your rate is high. Can't you negotiate?" "We tried. Our credit score isn't great, but yours is. You want me to co-sign?" "It's just a formality," my mother said. "We'll make all the payments. You won't even notice." 6 months, maybe a year. I was 24 years old. I was exhausted from 7 years of school. I trusted them. I signed. The monthly minimum payment was $780. They told me they could handle it. Within 4 months, I got the first letter. Payment overdue. I called my father. "Dad, the HELOC payment bounced." "Oh," he said. "We thought you were covering it this month." "What?" "We had some unexpected expenses. Megan needed first and last for a new apartment. Can you help us out just this once?" 1 month became every month. By the end of year 1, I was paying $780 a month on their HELOC plus my own rent, plus my $48,000 in OSAP student loans. And the requests never stopped. The monthly e-transfers started small. $400 here, $600 there. By 2020, it was $1,100 every month for what they called the Family Emergency Fund. Over 7 years, I transferred $1,100 per month for 84 months. That's $92,400. Plus the HELOC payments I covered, $780 times 72 months, $56,160. Plus one-time emergencies, Megan's rent deposits, Megan's car repairs, Megan's credit card bills, my parents' property tax shortfalls, $23,200. Total, cent setenta, cents sesanta. I know the exact number because I started keeping a spreadsheet in 2022. My therapist told me to. She said I was being financially abused, and I needed to see the numbers in black and white. It wasn't just money. My mother built an entire fictional version of our family on Facebook. In her version, Megan was the star. Post after post, lies dressed up with heart emojis. April 2023. So proud of our Megan. Just accepted into the health administration program at Ryerson. Megan had never applied to Ryerson. She dropped out of Humber College in 2017, earned 11 credits. I'd paid off her $6,400 in student loans. August 2023. Megan volunteering at Sick Kids Hospital today. Following in the family's healthcare footsteps, Megan had never volunteered anywhere. She fainted at the sight of needles. There was no family healthcare tradition. I was the only doctor in my family. October 2024. 2 days before my aneurysm. Please keep our family in your prayers. Claire is going through a difficult time with work burnout. Megan has been so supportive, really stepping up as a sister. I wasn't burned out. I'd just worked a double shift saving 11 patients, including a 6-year-old in cardiac arrest. Megan's idea of stepping up was texting me to ask for $300 for a new winter coat, and the milestones they missed. June 2019, my medical school graduation at U of T's Convocation Hall. They RSVP'd yes. They never came. Megan had a job interview at a boutique in Yorkville. She overslept and missed it, but my parents stayed home to comfort her. March 2021, Sophie was born at Mount Sinai. 7 pounds, 4 ounces. My parents visited for 25 minutes, then left because Megan needed help assembling IKEA furniture. November 2023, I was promoted to senior attending in the ER, the youngest in Toronto General's history. I planned a dinner at Canoe on the 54th floor of the TD Tower. 8 guests. My parents RSVP'd yes. They didn't show. Megan was upset because her ex-boyfriend posted a photo with his new girlfriend, and she needed emotional support. Every single time, it was Megan. Megan's crisis. Megan's drama. Megan's needs. And me? I was the strong one. The capable one. The one who didn't need anything, except I needed them. I just didn't realize it until I was lying in the neuro ICU, with staples in my skull, and they still chose Megan's $340 over my life. I spent 10 days in the hospital. During that time, I made a decision. Priya helped me prepare. So did Dr. Lawson. And so did Reverend Catherine Walsh from Street Michael's, my parents' church, the same church that had just given them the Family of the Year award 2 weeks earlier, based entirely on my mother's fictional Facebook posts. Reverend Walsh visited me on day 6. She'd heard about my collapse from a nurse who attended the parish. She showed me my mother's latest post. Thank you for all the prayers. Claire is recovering well from a minor procedure. Please continue to pray for Megan, who is under tremendous stress supporting the family during this time. Minor procedure. I'd had a craniotomy. 3 hours and 42 minutes of brain surgery. The Reverend's face was ashen. She told me the parish council had scheduled a Christmas community dinner for December 20th. My parents were being honored for their volunteer work. Would I like to attend? Yes, I said. I would. Over the next 4 weeks, I compiled everything. Bank statements, e-transfer records, HELOC documents, text messages, emails, screenshots of every Facebook lie. 197 pages of evidence. I organized it into a presentation. 12 slides. Slide 1, March 5th timeline. Every phone call they ignored. Slide 2 through 4. 7 years of bank transfers, $171,760 total. Slide 5 through 6. Text messages demanding money. Slide 7. A photo of me alone at my medical school graduation. Slide 8 and 9. My mother's Facebook posts versus reality. Slide 10. The total sum, $171,760 over 7 years. Slide 11. Sophie nearly taken by Cass because they wouldn't answer the phone. Slide 12. My medical records showing a ruptured aneurysm while they sat at Service Ontario. I practiced my speech 14 times. 8 minutes. I practiced until I could say the numbers without my voice breaking, until I could picture my mother's face and feel nothing but clarity. December 20th. The St. Michael's Parish Christmas Dinner. 160 guests. Turkey and stuffing, cranberry sauce, butter tarts for dessert. My parents sat at the head table, beaming. My father wore a blazer. My mother wore a green dress I'd paid for $280. Megan sat beside them, scrolling through TikTok. I arrived at 6:15 with Sophie, who wore a red velvet dress and held my hand. Priya came too, sitting in the back row, my witness. After dinner, Reverend Walsh took the podium. Before we present this evening's special recognition, she said, a member of our community has asked to share a few words. Claire? I stood. My legs felt hollow. Priya nodded from the back. Sophie whispered, good luck, Mama. I walked to the front. 14 steps. The room was quiet. I took the microphone. Hi, Mom. Dad, Megan. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm glad you came, because there are some things I need to say. And 160 witnesses seems about right. My mother's smile froze. I clicked the remote. The first slide lit up the screen behind me. March 5th, 2025. Timeline. 9:22 p.m. Charge nurse calls Patricia Rousseau. Told Claire has a brain aneurysm. Patricia says, it can wait. 9:28 p.m. Claire's daughter Sophie is picked up from daycare 2 minutes before Children's Aid would have been called. 9:35 p.m. Nurse calls Robert Rousseau. Voicemail. 9:42 p.m. Dr. Anand calls Robert. He says, do what you need to do. 9:51 p.m. Claire is wheeled into emergency brain surgery. Family present. 0. 10:40. 7 a.m. Next day, parents arrive. 13 hours and 25 minutes later. With Timbits. Murmurs through the room. Some gasps. I kept my voice steady. 10 hours and 47 minutes. That's how long it took my parents to drive 23 minutes. While I had a ruptured aneurysm and was in brain surgery, my parents were at a Service Ontario office with my sister Megan, who was upset about a $340 license plate sticker. Click. Slide 2. HELOC document. September 2018. Claire Rousseau, cosigner. Original amount, $120,000. Monthly minimum, $780. Payments made by Ronald and Patricia Rousseau over 7 years. 0. Payments made by Claire Rousseau, $56,160. Current balance, $63,840. This is a line of credit my parents asked me to co-sign when I was 24. They said it was temporary. 6 months. I've been paying it for 7 years. They haven't paid a single dollar. Silence in the room. Click. Monthly e-transfers. 2018 to 2025. Amount. $1,100 per month. Duration. 84 months. Total. $92,400. This is my banking history. $1,100. Every single month. For 7 years. They told me it was for the family emergency fund. Click. The emergencies were Megan's rent, Megan's car, Megan's credit card, Megan's shopping. Megan stood up. Her chair screeched on the floor. This is so embarrassing. You're ruining Christmas. I looked at her. Megan, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I had brain surgery 3 months ago. You didn't visit. Not once. You texted me 4 days later to ask if I could e-transfer $300 for a winter coat. She sat down. My mother was gripping the edge of the table. Claire, she hissed, "Stop this right now." Click. Screenshots of Facebook posts. March 2023. Our Megan, accepted into health administration at Ryerson. So proud. Megan has never attended Ryerson. She dropped out of Humber in 2017. I paid off her $6,400 student loans. August 2023. Megan volunteering at Sick Kids. Following in the family healthcare tradition, Megan has never volunteered. She faints at the sight of needles. There is no family healthcare tradition. I'm the only doctor in this family. Gasps. Whispers. Someone in the third row said, "Oh my God." Click. A photo. Me standing alone on stage at convocation. June 2019. University of Toronto Medical School graduation. I invited my parents 6 weeks in advance. They RSVP'd yes. They didn't come. They were comforting Megan because she overslept and missed a job interview at a boutique. I paused. Let the silence do the work. Then I said, total financial support, 2018 to 2025. HELOC payments, $56,160. Monthly transfers, $92,400. One-time emergencies, $23,200. Grand total, $171,760. I let that number sit. $171,760 divided by 2,555 days. That's $67.23 per day. That's what my family cost me every single day for 7 years. And when I was dying, they couldn't drive 23 minutes. My father stood. His face was red. "We're leaving. This is cruel." A voice from the back of the room. "Priya." She stood. "Mr. Rousseau, your daughter saved 11 patients the day before she collapsed. She performed CPR on a 6-year-old. She worked 14 hours. And then she fell face first onto concrete because she was exhausted from carrying your family and her own. And you want to leave because she's telling the truth?" My father sat. Dana Kowalski, the charge nurse, had come. She walked to the front. "I've been a nurse for 18 years, she said. "I've called hundreds of families to tell them their loved ones were in trouble. And I have never had a mother say, 'It can wait,' when I told her that her daughter had a brain aneurysm." She looked at my mother. "You said." And I documented this in the hospital record. Claire has been dramatic her entire life. She once called us crying because she got a B+. "I'm sure she'll be fine. Tell her to rest. Your daughter was bleeding inside her skull, and you compared it to a grade in school." She stepped back. The room was completely still. I returned to the microphone. "I'm not doing this for revenge," I said. I looked at Sophie, sitting in the front row on Priya's lap, watching me with those big brown eyes. "I'm doing this because I have a daughter. She's 4 years old. And I need her to know that love is not a transaction. That being kind doesn't mean being used. That family is the people who show up at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday when you're on the floor of a parking garage, not the people who show up 13 hours later with Timbits and a request for money." I looked at my parents. "Mom, Dad, Megan, I forgive you. Not because you've apologized. You haven't. Not because you'll change. You won't. I forgive you because I'm a doctor. I heal. That's what I do. But forgiveness doesn't mean access. As of tonight, the HELOC is your responsibility. The bank has been notified. The monthly transfers stop. And this is the last time you'll hear from me, unless you change. Fundamentally. Permanently. Provably." I put the microphone down, walked off the stage. Sophie ran to me. "Mama, you were so brave." I picked her up, held her tight, buried my face in her hair. She smelled like apple shampoo and everything good in the world. Behind me, I heard my mother's voice. "We are leaving. This is abuse." And I heard Reverend Walsh say, quietly but firmly, "No, Patricia. What you did was abuse. This is accountability." By midnight, the videos were online. I'd signed releases before the speech. I wanted the truth out there. By Sunday morning, the combined views were over 400,000. The comments were overwhelming. This woman is a hero. I'm a nurse, and I'm crying. $171,000. And they couldn't drive 23 minutes. Sophie is going to grow up, knowing her mom is the strongest woman alive. The following week, my parents' lawyers sent a cease and desist letter. I called him back. I have 197 pages of documented evidence, 7 years of bank records, hospital call logs, and 160 witnesses. If your clients want to take me to court, I'll see them there. He never called again. The bank removed me from the HELOC in January. My parents were now solely responsible for the $63,840 balance. I drove past their house in Scarborough a month later. There was a for sale sign on the lawn. Sophie saw it from the back seat. "Mama, is that Grandma's house?" "Yes, baby. Why are they selling it?" "Because they're moving to a smaller place." "Oh." She was quiet for a moment. "Mama, yes? Can we get ice cream?" I laughed until I cried. That evening, I opened a new RESP account. Registered Education Savings Plan. Sophie Claire Rousseau, beneficiary. First deposit, $5,000. The government matched 20% $1,000 through the CESG. $6,000 for my daughter's future, instead of $1,100 to my parents' bottomless pit. It felt like breathing for the first time in 7 years. March 5th, 2026. 1 year after the aneurysm, I walked into the ER at Toronto General. My ER, full shift, 14 hours. At 7:45 p.m., they brought in a young woman, 28 years old, collapsed at work, severe headache, vomiting, losing consciousness. I ran the CT, ruptured aneurysm, same as mine. I operated alongside Dr. Lawson, 3 hours and 12 minutes. Successful. When I walked into recovery, her mother was there. The woman had driven 4 hours from Sudbury through a snowstorm. She'd left the moment she got the call. She was holding her daughter's hand, tears streaming, whispering, "I'm here, baby. I'm right here." I watched them for a moment. Then I turned and walked to the locker room, changed out of my scrubs, checked my phone. A text from Sophie's daycare. "Sophie made you a card today. It says, 'My mom saves people.' Below it, a photo, crayon drawing, me in a white coat with a big red heart." I sat on the bench and cried. Not from sadness. From something else. Something lighter. My phone buzzed again. "Priya, dinner tonight? Jasmine's in town. Sushi on Queen West?" I typed back, "I'll be there in 30. I grabbed my coat, walked to the parking garage. Level 2, same spot where I'd collapsed a year ago. I stood there for a moment, looking at the concrete pillar. There was a small dent where my head had hit. I touched it. Then I walked to my car, started the engine, and drove to meet my family. My real family. The ones who show up